What's up, Pirates? Ray Talks here with Awaken TCG, and today I have a brand new video for you guys. So today, as you can see on the screen, we're going to be going over some footage. Now, I like to do this a lot, especially when I'm learning a new deck or if I'm, trying to learn something from a certain matchup. I like to look up high-level gameplay, do some research on it, kind of go over their lines and see what they do versus compared to what I would do. Get a better idea, better understanding. Maybe if it's something in particular in one matchup, or just if you're learning how to play a deck in general. And so what I'm going to do today is we're going to go over this match here, which is Red Purple Luffy versus Sakazuki. We're going to go over it as a whole. We're going to look through the whole match, see if, their play kind of aligns with how, we play and what we think. Obviously, I'm very new on Sakazuki. I know probably more about Red Purple Luffy than I do Sakazuki. I have maybe 3 or 4 matches total on Sakazuki, so that is definitely the deck I am learning last. I've played a good amount of games on Enel, Pluffy, and so obviously Sakazuki is up next for me, but I haven't had the time yet. So we're going to have to wait and see basically for that. So here we go. All right, so it looks like the match is about to start here. 1 Dawn, so the Red Purple Luffy is going first, so that means he's going to be on the 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and then 10 curve. Plays a Nami turn 1, and then now he's debating on what he wants. I think he can only grab the that might be a purple 0 cost instead of the red one. I think his only option might be that Diablo Gem, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, and that 1 cost unit, I'm not too familiar with that 1 unit is. I think that's an O5 card. I'm sure of it. And so let's go forward. Okay, so he grabs the 1 drop. Not a good sign when the opponent has to read it, right? Maybe that's something new he hasn't seen before. I'm not too sure what that does. I can't translate it here. Off the top of my head, I don't know Japanese, but I'm sure I can put it up on the screen so you guys can see right above, right where they showed it. So now it is Sakazuki on the 2, 4, 8, 6, 10 curve. So it's good to know who's getting that extra draw, who's getting that first swing, right? Especially in matches where, you have a 4 life leader. A lot of the times, 4 life leaders can get punished by very fast decks, such as Zoro, such as, I haven't seen too much footage on Bello Betty, but like I would assume Bello Betty can probably, if you get the right hand, you draw the nuts, you can punish a 4 life leader relatively easy, and just put him in rough positions and be able to win just off that alone. Sakazuki might be a different beast when it comes to 4 life leaders, but overall I think it's the same consensus for the most part. 4 life leaders can get rushed down. So now we have the Luffy on his next turn. Pretty standard by both players so far. Nothing crazy. Okay, so the Luffy player here is like I said, 4 life leaders can get rushed down, and to be able to counteract an early Sakazuki play, he's swinging 5 here with the Nami and then 6 with his leader. And the reason he's doing that is because if the Sakazuki uses a card to clear this Nami, then that's a plus for the Luffy, because now he won't have that card to, play that bottom deck or KO effect for another card that the Luffy is going to get ready to play. And the Luffy is at 3 Dawn, mind you. So, I mean, realistically, what can a purple-red Luffy play at 3 Dawn? For being realistic, probably nothing. I'm not too sure on everything the deck lists be running, but I know I'm confident in say that they probably don't run any 3-5 vanillas. Maybe another search here, search or something, if they had it. And then the Sakazuki, he's going to go ahead and block out both of the hits and keep 4 life. So I think the reason he did that is, 1, he can see his cards, right, by cycling. He has a Kuzan in hand, and so he's going to draw. He knows that if he goes, low in life, then the odds are he could potentially lose early. And so he opted out to just double block both of the swings in order to keep his life intact, so that way later on in the game he still has life to take. So now he swung 5 to get the Dawn minus effect. I lied. He swung 5 to kill the Nami. What am I looking at? And then he played the Kuzan. He drew his card, and then he is now cycling with Sakazuki effect. He trashed a Bardo. He actually drew a Lucci, so that is very good for him. Now it is the Luffy's 5 Dawn turn. He's going to debate on what exactly his play is here. He can't swing at the Kuzan. It's not rested. It just got played. He can swing at leader, and the Saka probably wants to take 1 life here now. So it's very interesting to see how first swinging turn, the Luffy was able to get 2 swings off with his search, and the Sakazuki instantly knew, okay, if I take 1 life here, if I take 2 lives here, I'm in a bad spot. Let me block out. I don't need these cards. I can cycle. I can draw. So now, see, he's forced into a bad position. This Luffy swung 7, Sakazuki took, and then the Luffy just played a 4-drop Law, which doesn't feel great. Right here in this position, maybe you want a kid, maybe you want something else. And the Sakazuki playing so perfectly around that, had 6 cards in hand, plays the Law, can't Dawn minus for the effect to trash 2. And it's honestly looking really good for the Sakazuki here. So let's see, he is at 2, 4, 5, 6 Dawn. So he's going to swing 6 at the Luffy to try to get a card out of his hand, right? He wants to get a card out of his hand or potentially take life. I doubt he ever blocks here. But it might not be a bad idea to block. So he gives him a 1K. As we can see, the red-purple Luffy's hand, he has 3 queens, so that is a no-brainer there. And then let's see what his next turn is. Okay, so he goes -2 on the Law, draws 1 card, and he is going to play the Lucci and just KO the Law, right? Establish leader, or establish more characters on board, KO the blocker, and you're in a good spot. You're in a really good spot. So that is past turn, and it is onto the Luffy's turn. So now the Luffy is at 7 Dawn, I believe. So he has a lot of options. He would really like to see the kid here, which he does not have. So he's just gonna queen, right? Draw a card, cycle 2. It's probably his best option. He's swinging 7 again, and the Sakazuki takes it this time. Going down to 2 life is not bad. Now he's going to search with the Nami. The Luffy grabs a Radical Beam, and it is looking like a pretty good match so far. The only issue is the Sakazuki has a Kuzan that is active now. He's going to be able to swing with it. He's going to be able to -4 cost on that queen, and that queen is not going to live to see another turn, unfortunately. And he has a Lucci in hand, which makes it even better. So he can just as easily put 1 on a Kuzan, swing 6, drop another Lucci, clear his board again. So now he's going to swing 6, and the Luffy has to either take his first life or block out. In my opinion, this wouldn't be a bad take, but unfortunately, the Saka player is probably going to attach 1 to Kuzan, swing 6, attach 1 to his leader, swing 6 again, just to be able to, chip away at his cards or make him go down in life just to set up some lethal. The Luffy is going to, he's still thinking. So he gives him a 1K. He gives him a 1K queen, as you can see there in the trash of the Luffy's trash. Now he's going 6 again, and he's going to actually take his first life now. So the Luffy, knowing his hand is not the best, he has 3 events, 2 1-drops. He does have he does have 9 gate in his hand. 9-beard is pretty good in a situation like this. The Sakazuki though is just on the tear. Oh wow. And so the Sakazuki actually opted in to not swing with the Kuzan and play a Hina instead with the Lucci to KO his board. And the reason for this is because he knows that if the Kuzan goes into rested mode, the Luffy can swing at it. Now you're forced to give cards to protect it, but Kuzan is a great engine, a great tool. You can swing at it and KO bigger bodies with that initial -4, right? So he is exactly playing against the 9-beard. He knows, okay, if he has 9-beat here, it's his 9 Dawn turn. I'm going to have the Kuzan swing. It doesn't matter. I'm going to be able to KO that 9-beard with whatever is in my hand, and I'm going to be able to, continue this board pressure, keep my board state in a spot where it's good for me, and make sure my opponent is still feeling the pressure, right? And so, as we can see, the Saka has a Borsalino in his hand. He can just, on his turn, swing 5. It doesn't matter. Borsalino swing 5 with the Kuzan, excuse me, -4 onto the Newgate, play the Borsalino, and bottom deck it instantly, right? So there's not much thinking to do. So he's going to, oh, does he have, did he draw a, does he have a, oh, he also has a Mihawk. To make things even better, he has a Mihawk. So you don't even have to play the Borsalino. You can just, you know, play a huge body on the board. So he definitely has a ton of options here on what he wants to do. So he's going to cycle one first, and he trashes a Kuzan, and it looks like he picked up a brand new. Yes, correct. So let's see. He's at 10 Dawn now, so he has a lot of options. He is still thinking, what does he want to do here? So he has plenty of ways to get rid of this Newgate, which is probably what you have to do, right? And so, yeah, so he's going to swing a raw 5. Doesn't matter. Gets the -4. And then he's going to swing 8 at his Luffy to get 1 card out of his hand, which is not a bad play, honestly. And then he just goes 7 and bottom decks the Newgate, right? Okay, so boom. He gives him the 1K. He has 7 for the Borsalino, just as we predicted. There goes the Newgate. So now the Sakazuki is in a pretty insane spot. I don't think he's ever in danger of dying. He has 7 cards in hand. The Luffy could always like Kaido, but then you're just swinging 7-10, right? But it is a possibility, right? It is a possibility. As we can see, though, the Luffy's hand is just super bricked. It's very defensive. Doesn't really have anything to play. He can play the buggy, but that really doesn't do him much. At this point, it is honestly looking like a lost cause with the amount of board pressure that Sakazuki was able to apply. And the thing is with Sakazuki, it kind of does this with most of its matchups, and it's really hard to control. And that's why it's so prevalent now. The first half of OP05 in the East, Asia was not rocking Sakazuki with this new list. And so you would see it was top 3, but it was not top 1 by a mile. It was in a tier 1 along with Enel, along with Pluffy, and they were kind of like in this little triangle, right? This deck beats this deck beats this deck, a little rock, paper, scissors, if you will. Now with this new list being discovered, it is completely different. Sakazuki is now a tier, dare I say it, tier 0 deck, more likely a tier 0.5 deck, and then below that is the tier 1 decks, Pluffy, Katakuri, Enel, things of that nature. And Sakazuki is looking like a real powerhouse in OP05. I'm definitely going to learn it. I've learned the other 2 good decks in OP05, but I'm so excited to honestly learn Sakazuki. It's going to be such an amazing feeling, just having so many options to just always be able to clear whatever my opponent plays and just keep that board pressure going. As you can see here, it didn't matter what the Luffy summoned. The Sakazuki had the answer, gets a body on board, has the answer, gets a body on board. So the Luffy is now swinging 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He is swinging 13K, and the Sakazuki is going to take, and he goes and passes, right? He left 2 Dawn open because he has 2 Rad Beams, and he has a 0-drop event, which is definitely going to help him. I don't know if the Sakazuki can win this turn. We just have to do some math, right? He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He has 6 swings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the Luffy has 5 cards, right? So technically, even if he goes 6K swing, rinse and repeat, he wouldn't have game, right? Because he would be able to block every single one of the attacks, especially with whatever's in life. But as we know, the Luffy's hand is kind of bricked up with events, right? So if he just swings 6 and he gives him that counter in hand, swings another 6, he's either forced to use a 0-drop event or a Rad Beam. As soon as that happens, I'm going to continue to swing 6 and then boom, drop some blockers, keep myself safe, right? So the Sakazuki is definitely thinking here. Let's go ahead and speed it up and see what he does. Okay. Oh, no. So let's see here. He's thinking, okay, so he gives him a 6K swing, and the Luffy takes a 6K swing. That is massive for the Sakazuki. I don't think taking that first hit is necessary. If anything, I think you want to block out that first hit, because as soon as you show him that you have a 1K, I think that's a 1K in the Luffy's hand. As soon as you show him you have a 1K, maybe he's hesitant to swing again for 6, right? Maybe he opts to, you know, attach 2 Don and swing 8, maybe. Like, okay, let's try to get some cards out of his hand. What is my turn looking like? But he takes it, and so obviously the most, you know, optimal play here is just to go ahead and swing another 6. Let's check his hand. If he gives me the last life, then I can just clear his board, play blockers, and then you know, summon a unit on board. I don't know, like a Rebecca or something. Like at this point, one more turn beats the Luffy. He does have 2 rad beams, so he wouldn't be able to take this life, put all of his Dawn on, and swing. He would have to at least keep a little bit of the Dawn open, just for blocker purposes. Well, how high does he go? So he has 2 rad beams. That's 10, 14, plus a 0 drop event, which is 17. Oh, if he puts all on Borsalino, he would actually win, depending on what his last life is if he takes it here. So he swings another 6K. The Luffy is hesitant on what he wants to do. Oh, wait, what did he do with that 6K? Okay, so he gave him that 1K. We see it in the trash. I'm sorry. We see the 1K in his trash. Now the Sakazuki is going to attach 1 onto the Hina and swing 6K again at the Luffy. And it is coming down to the wire. And so he takes. So now with some quick maths, he has 9 Dawn available. The Borsalino is a 7K unit, I believe. I'll put it up here on the screen. Let's do some math. 9 Dawn, 7K unit, that's 16K, or if it's an 8K unit, I'm not too sure. It's 17K, but I think it is 16K. A 16K swing, the Luffy would go to 10, 14, 15, 16, 17. So the Luffy would actually be in the clear here if he full swings, which would mean the Sakazuki would actually lose. So the Sakazuki has to be very, very careful. Obviously, the players in the East know that Rad Beam isn't restricted like over here in the West. In the West, I would be counting, instead of Rad Beams, I would be counting guard points, which are 3K. So I'd be going 6 to 9, 11, 12 to 9, 10, 11 to 12, and then a 3-drop event to 16. Right? I would do the math a little different because obviously they don't have all Rad Beams. So he definitely has to do some thinking here. So he's going to swing another 6 with the Kuzan, which is a huge, huge swing to get it. Obviously gets a 2K out of his hand. And then let's see what happens here. This is a rough. So that's 7. If I'm pretty sure he's a 7K. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Swinging 11K. 11K, which means he has to block out for 12. So he gives him a Rad Beam to 10. He gives him a, yep, boom, perfect, to 13. So now he has 2 cards in hand. He can only swing 9K. He can only swing 9K. And he does have the Rad Beam, which would put him to 10. So this is looking a bit rough. It might have been okay if he had just attached 1 onto his lead, swung 6, made him use that 0-drop 3K event, and then Rad Beam. Does double Rad Beam get him out of a 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15K attack? What's double Rad Beam get him to? 10, 14? No, I think if he would have just swung 6 with Sakazuki and then go into a full Dawn swing with his Borsalino, I think he has it. But let's go ahead and find out what he actually ends up doing. Oh, he's debating the swing. This is not good. Okay, perfect. Whew. He almost threw. He has the win in the bag. There's no reason for him to ever not just play a blocker there and grab a card. He grabs a 2K out of the trash. So extra blocker in hand, or extra counter in hand, has the Rebecca on board, and he plays a Luffy. Probably his only play, to be honest. He's going to be able to swing. So he's swinging 7, and he's going to have another turn after this. So not the end of the world. He's not going to be at full power. So he gives him a 3K counter, and now he has another turn. He's at 4 Dawn. He uses the Luffy ability to ramp to 4, or ramp to 5, but it's active Dawn, so he goes back to 4. And then he has 2 swings left. He's just going to have a counter for 10K in his hand, which I think he definitely has it. So this was the Luffy's only play, unfortunately. And it was pretty close. If the Sakazuki was bricked, it would have been very close. But it looks like the Sakazuki actually does have the counter here. And there he goes. It gives him 3 2Ks. And that should be game. Whew. That was a lot to take in, guys. But I try to dissect it as best as possible. We kind of saw what the game plan for the Sakazuki was in this matchup. Is just if you get second, which I think you do want to get second. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. As you can see there, the red purple Luffy really just got obliterated by the Sakazuki. He played a unit, it got KO'd. He played a unit, it got KO'd. He played 9 beard, it got KO'd. A bottom deck, all of the above. Sakazuki is a threat. It's a different threat. Will we see restrictions? Possibly, especially how dominant it is winning right now. It is possible we could see some type of restrictions. Although I hope we don't see restrictions and we just have a Sakazuki fest. Learn how to play against it. I mean, we were so close to ending off with Whitebeard in OP04, but they eventually ended up banning it at the end. But it is what it is. It's coming back, so it's not banned forever. The restrictions are definitely going to be released. I don't know about the Rad Beam restrictions with the Marcos and the Newgates, but the restriction on the 5 Marco and the bans on the Nami Dadan and Newgate Leader will be lifted. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys learned a thing or two. These guys are insane players, and it's really a treat to watch matches like this and to be broadcasted so well. You know, they have the cards showing at all times, their hands. We can see what they have, what their opponent's seeing, what you're seeing, and it's a treat, like I said, to watch games like this. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow with the next color. I believe it is black, if I'm not mistaken for the OP06 cards. You guys have a wonderful day. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.